Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hard Talk HR. I'm your host, Mihai Noid. In today's episode, we shall take a close look at innovation. So I invited the managing director of InUseMe, Peter Daels, to talk about what is the role of HR in driving innovation in organizations. Wait a minute, is it a good time to talk about innovation? I mean, after all, companies are facing massive disruption due to the coronavirus pandemic. So should we or shouldn't we invest in innovation when times are challenging? And by the way, innovation has been ranking very high on corporate leaders' agenda, which is not a coincidence. After all, innovation is one of the most fundamental competitive advantages. Having said that organizations are neither innovative nor agile. Organizations don't have the ability to respond change or forecast what's ahead. Only people are innovative. Only people have the agility. But of course, it's the setting of the organization that fosters innovation to get the best out of people. So in today's episode, we shall be taking a look at what is the best way to foster innovation and manage both short-term pressures, while of course, looking ahead and look beyond the pandemic in terms of ensuring organization success. So I hope you will enjoy today's episode, and if you do, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. At Hard Talk HR, we bring you fresh ideas and inspiring content from around the world of work. So Peter, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I did my introduction, and I mentioned that why we shall be focusing on during this short interview, how organization, whether they should be or should not be focusing on innovation in times of hardship, and more importantly, what's the role of HR in driving innovation. But before we start, probably the best thing to do is to clarify what is innovation in the first place, how innovation and creativity is different, it's not the same. And you do have a very, very solid, very, very strong point of view on that. So can you please elaborate and tell us the difference between innovation and creativity?
Thanks, Mihaly, for the nice introduction. It's very simple. Innovation starts with creative ideas. Ideas that are new, that will change the way you're working, be it in products, your product offerings, services, etc. But you can have a company with very creative people. If the creative ideas are not transformed into new product offering, new services, new concept, new business model that bring value to the organizations, and let me translate value to the organization in a commercial environment in dollars or euros in the bank account, generating revenue. That's exactly what innovation is transforming creative ideas into value, generating value for the organization of the company. And that's the big difference. So no action after creative ideas, no innovation.
Thank you so much for clarifying. And while we talk about innovation, this is many organizations, many leaders in business probably don't consider that this is the right time to innovate. The current pandemic has put a tremendous pressure on organizations. Certain industries has been practically wiped out or suffering greatly, while others, of course, less impacted. But your argument is actually this is the time to look at innovation, probably more so than ever before. Why do you feel this way?
Well, first of all, innovation is not new. It has always been there. Secondly, innovation is crucial, but it's very complex. It's not that easy to actually implement, to go from a creative and transform a creative idea into value for the organization. And what really is needed is a lot of things are needed. It's for instance, having an innovation culture within the organization. That innovation is seen not just as change or something new or a nuisance, but something rather very positive and crucial for the existence of the organization in the long run. Secondly, you also need a vision and a strategy, because I hear a lot of companies say, yeah, well, innovation, of course, we need to innovate, but they don't have a vision. They don't know really what way or the direction they want to evolve. And then specifically in times like today, it's perfectly understandable that companies are focusing on today, surviving, damage control, making sure that they secure the, let us say, the operational way of the organization. That's understandable, yeah. But of course, if you want to innovate, you also need to be prepared to put resources on the table. If you don't have any budget, yeah, it will be very difficult to innovate. And last but not least, who should be involved in innovation in the organization? And has been until today in a lot of companies, although they have a vision, they have a strategy, they have means, it's also people also make the difference in innovation. Yeah, and that's something that we have discovered during the years in practice, in reality, and even within the same organization, some projects, innovation projects, went smoother, faster, more efficiently implemented in the market than others. And most of the times, strategy was the same, the resources were the same, the vision was the same, the culture was the same, but it was the people who actually behind the innovation projects that made the difference. It's the only way to win. Not my words, it's the words from Steve Jobs. And he clearly said, yeah, innovation distinguishes between leaders and followers. So HR and, let us say, managers, companies, what do you want to be, a leader or a follower?
Indeed. But as you also put in your website, that companies don't innovate, only people do. So in this case, most of our listeners, most of our viewers in our audience are HR professionals. Now, HR function, people function, look after people, look after culture, look after creating the settings for innovation. So in your role, what would be the right, based on your views, what would be the right position, the right role for HR to champion innovation, especially times of hardship we are experiencing?
Yeah, my recommendation towards the HR community is rather simple. Please be more ambitious within your organization. And what is now very black and white, and I'm sure there are a lot of companies that are an exception to the rule, but in general, shift from a more executive role to a more strategic role within your organization and within the management team. That's, let us say, what I mean with be more ambitious HR community. Because towards the future, the new normal, the new way of working, all those kind of things, I think you first need to develop a clear strategy. What do we stand for as a company, and how are we going to do that together with our employees? Because, and that's where the quote once again, it's not mine, it's the wise words from Seth Godin, who said, it's people who innovate, not companies. It's also not the robots that come up with ideas. It doesn't matter today, even today in times of artificial intelligence, it's still people that generate ideas, creative ideas that are transformed into value, generating value for the organization, which is by my definition of innovation. It's making sure that you transform those ideas as fast and as efficient as possible together with your people within the organization. And so my advice, be more ambitious, shift really from a more executive doing modus to a more strategic.
Dare to take risk and have a kind of a long-term perspective. And that brings to my next questions about sort of navigating paradox. As many business and HR leaders are, in a way, paradox navigators, looking at the short-term pressures and what's important to stabilize the current situation. But also, of course, we must have a long-term view, we must have a long-term vision in order to prepare our organizations to the next normal. The way you call it as companies has to be ambidextrous organization. So can you elaborate on this? What does organizational ambidexterity mean?
Yeah, we have done some scientific research on all kind of, let's say, research on scientific publications that have been dealing on innovation and innovation management. And a rather recent topic, trendy topic, ambidexterity in, let's say, a person who is ambidexter. What does it mean? It's that person has the capability, the capacity to write simultaneously with his left and his right hand without loss of quality. And that's ambidexterity, having the capability of using both of your hands without a loss of quality simultaneously at the same moment. In an organizational perspective, an ambidexterity within organization actually means the capacity or capability that organizations have on, let us say, at one hand, being operational excellent. And so really focus on the performance engine, the short term, but combined with, let us say, the capacity to excel in innovation. Simultaneously combining operational excellence together with innovation excellence. And both, they cannot be more different from one to another than operational excellence and innovation excellence. Operational excellence is, of course, focus on the short term, today's environment. Decisions most of the times are generated within the business unit or, let's say, the operational management of the activity. Most of the times it deals with incremental innovations, optimizing short but continuous improvements made to a product, process, a service, and so on. But that let us say, most of the times, not a lot of change is preferred there, because it's mostly dealing or is going about, it's dealing with the, let's say, the current cash cows of an organization. Yeah? The products and services that generate money and revenue, so they don't want to touch it so much. So keep it as, but in the end, it leads to commodities. That's basically the, let us say, the outcome of a cash cow product. It will be copied, you have to do some optimizations, cost reductions, etc. And it will lead to commodities. Others will also have that product available. And so myself, I'm a strong advocate of operational excellence and the performance engine. But on the other hand, it should simultaneously be combined with innovation excellence. And innovation, yeah, that's more long-term rather than short-term. It's also not driven by the day-to-day business, but it's more from a strategic nature. And it's also most of the times at strategic leadership that is in control and, let us say, managing the innovation, overviewing the innovation project. It is thinking about the next big thing. So radical innovation rather than incremental innovation.
But radical innovation does carry a lot of risk, a lot of uncertainty, and especially times like this. So if organizations want to achieve organizational ambidexterity, yes, of course, who wouldn't want to be successfully navigating operational excellence short term and become radical innovative and come up with the next iPod, the next iPhone, if you talk about Steve Jobs and Apple? How can companies like you, how can InduceMe potentially help companies to be successful in both short-term operational excellence and long-term innovation?
Well, it's not a new phenomenon. It's a recent topic that has been handled in scientific papers on innovation and innovation management. In 2014 already, there has been research published by IBM, More Than Magic, it's called, and there it's clearly mentioned that they identified amongst companies that, let us say, were generally spoken seen as innovating outperformers, and that was companies such as Microsoft, the Googles, and so on from this world. 80% of those companies, they were using a dedicated innovation team. In other words, they had their operational, their performance engine, but separate in a separate organization, entity, department, team, whatever, depending on the size of the company. They actually structured and organized their innovation in, let us say, a dedicated innovation environment. That's where that ambidexterity generates and comes from, is where they respect the let us say the drivers from operational performance, and they create the environment. And most of the times companies are made not to innovate, but are made for efficiency, so they know how to do that. But they created also a separate, call it entity, separate environment where actually innovation is allowed, is stimulated, where they need to think about, let us say, on the long term, turning everything upside down, questioning everything, where in the operational performance, they are just, let's say, more allergic to that. Not allergic, but they want to continue their business, and it's not by putting everything upside down that all the time, continuously, that they will be able to run the current operations really efficiently. Also requires a different type of employee. People that actually have skills for the operational performance or the operational excellence. And in the dedicated innovation teams, you need people with dedicated and really proven innovation skills. And this is what we've done together with the University of Ghent. We were looking for the answer, why is a person more innovative than another? And not just by a gut feeling, but really objective and scientifically proven. And that's what the University of Ghent did together with us. And actually, we have then, in reality, in practice, with the innovation expert network that we have access to, we validated the theoretical model on innovation and innovation skills. Why is someone more innovative than another? And that's where Induce.me was born. It's an assessment, an objective assessment, where you have to judge situations that are linked to innovation.
So if we were to sum up, we talked about teams, we talked about ambidexterity, we talked about having the right skill set. But if we were to sum up with some key recommendations, kind of a bullet point format, and of course, last but not least, is the assessment, the validated assessment is important. What would be your recommendation? What is if I'm an HR leader and it's important for my organization to innovate, not necessarily only just tech companies, by the way, let's be clear on that.
No.
Even more traditional mining or even more brick and mortar oil and gas companies, it's all about innovation if we want to sustain our organization long term. So what would be your key recommendations if we were to summarize it in a bullet point format in terms of remaining operationally excellent, but also create the innovative culture in our business?
Yeah, first of all, stimulate the image that innovation is really crucial and is positive on the long term. It's positive and really crucial for the long-term survival, successful survival of the organization. Convince your people about that. Bring that message. It's a message of, change, yes, but it's change for the better. And once again, I use there the quote from Steve Jobs: innovation really distinguishes between followers and leaders. And there, what do you stand for? You want to be a leader or you want to be a follower? There's nothing wrong with that, but that's a consequence of a choice and a strategy you make. So first of all, make sure innovation is seen as something crucial but positive and vital from the successful survival in the long term of the company. Secondly, develop also an innovation strategy together with the management team. And it's not just technical or technology or let us say machines, robots, software systems. It's the people who make the difference. And make sure to prepare for that as well, not just from a budget point of view, not just from a technological point of view, but from ideas, but also make sure that you prepare your organization and that you actually, let us say, assess, that you know how strong your organization is from a people point of view, on skills necessary to implement innovation and transforming creative ideas into innovation in an efficient and fast manner. And that to me is that's a big challenge for a lot of companies, because yes, we are an innovative company. That's easier said than done. Yeah. And that's where we from Induce.me, we help our customers to accelerate their innovation and increase their innovation capabilities by identifying the strength of the innovation skills amongst the employees. And if needed, actually they can select or make an innovation dream team based on the results, but also if there is a gap, they can recruit new people. Yeah? And also for the ones on board, if they are not strong enough, we also have, let us say, a personal development tool that will be available somewhere beginning of next year. It's a training tool, but based on the same principles, where employees can actually train themselves on improving their innovation skills. And then, last but not least, if you have filled the gap, if you have, what your worth, if your people, the strength of your people and the strength of the level of their innovation skills. Unfortunately, today, and there is also companies that will need to downsize, that will need to let people go. Also here we can help them, because for all the customers that we actually applied in Use.me, we have always discovered hidden innovation talent. People that were not even aware that they had such a strong skill set on innovation skills. And so if in the unfortunate way that you have to downsize and you have to let people go, this is an unique, let us say, a focus of Induce.me, is that we actually map the level of skills of innovation amongst your workforce, and that you can avoid this way, that you let go maybe your best innovative talent, because you're simply not aware and they are not aware about it. Because today, most of the times still, who should be involved? Oh, well, person X or Peter, he knows something about this subject and he is an expert in this. Let's have a talk with him. Maybe he needs a new challenge and he will be open to. And then they have a talk and they say, oh yeah, of course. Then that doesn't mean that you're the most suited person within the organization to, let us say, to be involved in a dedicated innovation team. They might involve you because of your expertise, but not of your skills on innovation.
Two quotes has popped in my mind. One is from Dave Ulrich. He said, HR is not about HR, it's about helping business win. So there you go. With the right approach to innovation, it is absolutely clear-cut evidence that HR can help the business win. And the other quote popped in my mind is, without data, you are just another person with an opinion. So now we can assess people and find out who are actually can be potentially in a driver's seat when it comes to organization innovation. And again, it's not about creativity, as you said, it's all about creating value to the organization. Peter, it's been an absolute pleasure. If people would like to get in touch with you, what is the best way to reach you, to find out more about how you can help them on creating the innovative culture?
Well, first of all, of course, I have to refer them to our website. It's www.induce.me. there you will find already quite some information, and on the website there is also a free demo available that people can very easily and very conveniently try. It's actually one case out of the 15 that actually make the complete assessment on innovation skills. So at the end, it will take them 5 minutes, the demo, and at the end, it's a sample of a report that once you completed the 15, that that is available for download. So at least they get a good look and feel on what the outcome of an individual assessment is. And then, of course, through the website, they can actually contact me, or just through Peter, my first name, at inuse.me.
And you're also on LinkedIn. You're also on LinkedIn, so
yes,
people
yes.
can find you, look you up on LinkedIn, and that's another way to get in touch. Thank you so much. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you enjoyed today's edition. Don't forget to visit Induce Me website for a free assessment, and if you enjoyed today's session, just hit the subscribe button.